Proszę Państwa, the first question is, because at Westerplatte and other Polish battlefields, we have such a situation and an issue, a question, in what way to treat this place? Just to leave it as it is, or to add something as was suggested, for example, for a branch of our museum. Karol Szejko was talking about the issue. And maybe can you explain what is an approach in your country to the battlefield, to the place? To what extent we can change the outlook, the present outlook of the battlefield?
As I told in my speech, since 2004, there has been an attempt to try to promote, to make the best we can as far as we are concerned about the preservation and the promotion of the battlefield, in order to teach the generation, the later generation, and the whole world how significant this battle is, which we have tried through ways to make the site more educational, let's say.
But without new buildings.
Okay.
But we don't build something new in the plane.
One question. Przepraszam Państwa, czy to, co mówimy, dochodzi do Państwa przez słuchawki, tak, żeby uniknąć, tak? Dziękujemy pięknie. Okay.
We leave the plane as it is, only with for educational reasons. We have some maps and texts.
So the whole education work is carried out in new buildings aside from the battlefields, okay? Or have you anything done at the battlefield?
We try to promote, to show up the tumulus and the trophy. There has been a reconstruction of the trophy, but we don't want to make something else that it will devaluate, let's say, these monuments. We try to make them to show their significance.
Okay. So I have a question, because there was a lot of vessels being sunk in Pearl Harbor on the 7th of December 1941, and all these people killed during an attack of Japanese aircraft. What did happen to all these vessels and bodies of the sailors and soldiers?
Some of the ships that could be preserved and rebuilt were raised, so they were able to try to restore them as best as possible, and they were put back in the fleet. Some, like the USS Arizona, had sunk, and nothing could be done. Some of the ships, some of the sailors were still on board, had died on the ships. Some were able to be retrieved, some were not. So I think the ships itself were a mechanism, but the bodies are still there. It is a memorial, and to a certain extent it is a cemetery to us.
But once again, are there still all there, all these sunk ships, or part of them were removed?
There are a few. There are a few ships. The USS Utah is still there, and the USS Arizona is still there. Yes.
Okay.
The Oklahoma is not.
So, Mr. Shaker, what do you think after what experiences you gather, in what way the old artifacts and places are treated in other places that you, this way of doing you took into consideration preparing your suggestion for future?
I think the first important fact that we have to realize is that it's a very important question to answer. What should happen at Westerplatte regarding its complicated history, and whether to rebuild, reconstruct, conserve, preserve, or do any other actions regarding this subject. I think we have to remember about one important question, or one important thing that goes beyond just reconstructing the buildings or preserving the buildings, is that today we face the unique chance of telling the story of Westerplatte, which has been left untold for the previous 70 years. And while the question about rebuilding and reconstruction is very important, because it's a full-scale project, it demands funding from state authorities, from the museum. Then one more thing is that, you know, we have a chance by doing this in whatever form, and this is to be discussed, to preserve the memory and make this place meaningful again for the future generations, for remembrance as well. So we believe that following these wide social consultations and consultations with conservators, architects and historians, one major goal is ahead of us. It is to tell the story and pass it on, as was also mentioned in the presentation from Pearl Harbor, to pass on the story and to remember the importance of the site.
Our session is called Battlefields as Symbolic Places of Commemoration. All these places are symbols of something, okay? We are trying to catch the point, what a lesson we can take from the events in the past. And can we sum again, now without all these details, in what way we do this, what you want in your museum to transfer to the generation? Here in Marathon, of course, we have no eyewitnesses. The other situation in your museum still, but in several years it will change forever, of course. And once again, what symbols we want to transfer to new generations, next generation, about the story, about the events that happened over there in the past. Because it was very interesting for me to find that you present Marathon as the first battle of Europe against Asia. Very original point of view. More important for me, it was an act of defense of European police, local democracy, against Asian despotism. Okay? Yes. Am I right or not?
you are right, because in this, by this battle, the Greeks created the preconditions to establish later the democracy, the Athenian democracy, and that's therefore this is a symbol of democracy, apart from being a symbol of peace, of freedom. And before that time, there was a phase in Athens of tyranny, and there was a big danger if the Persians conquered Athens, there would be a completely different progress of the history. Yeah. That's why it isn't not only did we prevent the Persians to conquer us, but and also to prevent them to pass to Europe, but we also prevented the tyranny to establish in Greece.
Okay, and what with the tragedy of December the 7th? What is an information transferred to young generation? The war is something very bad. It's obvious, and nobody among us wants to promote a war, of course, but we want to learn something from the past and to teach something our younger generations and next generation. What I understood, this meeting of American and Japanese people with this teaching program is something to learn to coexistence, to coexist in peace. It's wonderful. But do you use the story of the tragedy of December the 7th also to build a kind of citizen community, American citizens community?
I think the events of December 7th have a lot of aspects that teach people many things. It can teach people about leadership. It can teach people about relations. It can teach people about peace. It teaches people about differences amongst us is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And I think as you delve into the history and the many things that happened, you can take all of those aspects and teach the next generation how to coexist in a more peaceful manner, and that there are consequences when you don't. And you can do this in many forms. The educational process to us is not something that starts in high school or upper education. Mm-hmm. We believe that it starts from the younger kids. It starts in a kindergarten class or a first grade class, because they learn how to work together, how to play with each other, and that they are not necessarily the same as the person sitting next to them. But that's okay. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of messages that can be taught to people of all ages. And that is the challenge that I think we are trying to take on, using what happened at Pearl Harbor and applying it to different people of different ages.
Okay. So I have a very detailed question to Dr. Huynh Huy. Maybe a technical one. Because you mentioned, and we could see at your presentation, that you have items, objects of different qualification. Can you explain us what does it mean that you, in your museum, among more than 30,000 objects, you have 100 objects of the first level? What does it mean? It is interesting for us as people working in the museums, and
这个问题就是在你们的博物馆，你在那个介绍中，有这个介绍，就是在博物馆里面有3万多这样的展览品，但是这个包括有100多个这个遗迹的最重要的，你可以介绍一下这个100多个的展览品是什么的展览品？
这个100多件它是国家一级文物，是由国家就是中国的国家文物局以及相关领域的专家组织鉴定的，就是国家承认的。它应该是代表文物类的最高级别。比如说是在当时日军轰炸宛平城时，这个当时中国军队的一顶这个被打穿的头盔，非常具有历史意义的，就这样的文物。
Tak.
Pan Li Jinhui chciałby powiedzieć, że spośród tych 1000 eksponatów, 100 eksponatów to są eksponaty o najwyższej wartości i one są bardzo często osobistymi przedmiotami żołnierzy, którzy uczestniczyli w walkach o most Marco Polo, a także twierdzę Wangping i między innymi to są na przykład hełmy żołnierzy chińskich walczących w tamtym czasie, w tamtych miejscach.
A proszę powiedzieć, czy spytać Pana, w jaki sposób kwalifikuje się, że te rzeczy wchodzą do tej kategorii, a pozostałe do innej? I was asking in what way we qualify.
问一下，你们在你们的博物馆里面，你们怎么分辨这个最高级，和这个最低的高级，这是怎么分辨？比如说，你们有那么多的展览品，是不是？
对。
你们的博物馆的成员、教授们怎么决定选择这个最重要的展览品？
因为中国的文物分为很多种类，有一些就是抗战类文物，它是一个战争类的文物，它是一个非常特殊的一个品种，和一些瓷器啊，和一些这个以前的这个纸币、铜币，包括这个器皿是完全不一样的。而那些东西主要是看这个年代以及这个完好与否，而抗战类文物主要是看它的所在的历史价值。至于它是怎么来鉴定，根据什么标准？因为他们是鉴定行业的，就是对于我们来说不是很清楚。但是能够知道的，基本上是抗战类文物基本上只鉴定一级文物，就是应该是重大事件、重大人物、重要意义，比如说像7·7事变这样的重大事件，像一些在抗战中牺牲的或者受伤的一些重要人物。
Rozróżnienie jest, to decyzja jest podejmowana przez gremium historyków i te przedmioty, które są zaliczone do pierwszej kategorii, są to przedmioty, bo cała długość wojny, opór przeciwko agresji japońskiej, tak jak było to przedstawione na prezentacji, to jest bardzo długi okres. Natomiast te przedmioty zaliczone do pierwszej kategorii są przedmiotami, które są osobistymi przedmiotami tych żołnierzy. To są notatki, to są pociski wystrzelone w twierdzy Wangping czy na moście Marco Polo i te przedmioty niejako są przedmiotami stricte związanymi z początkiem II wojny światowej w Chinach.
Thank you very much. Pytanie z sali, tak jak... Gdzie są?
Dziękuję bardzo. Pierwsze chciałem wam, może angielskie mówię. I would like to take the attention, I would like to say the kalimera, tikanate. I have also the Greek family. I am a Polish citizen, honorary consul of the Republic of Turkey. You're welcome. I have also Polish citizen and origin Turkey. Just I would like to pay attention about the marathon. We know, everybody knows, we like. What's the relation about the Turkish occupation? I mean, I don't understand this. That's before Jesus Christ, but you said about Turkish occupation. I'm sorrowful about that. Also, I don't agree about the Asian terrorism, the Europe, because we can say many things about the Dardanelles, who also the first attack of Kishijatsi, Professor Kishijatsi, Crusaders to the Asia side. Just I would like to take the attention about that story. I think you can correct this words about the Turkish occupation. I don't want to change the theme about the subject, about the sorrowful things. That's good atmosphere. Okay? You're welcome again to Poland.
Of course, I didn't. I referred only to Lord Byron because he commented to his poems about sites that he liked to see. And one of these was the monument, the tumulus of the Athenians. This is the only reference. It hasn't to do with the Turkish occupation. He only, I refer to it because he lived in that period of time in Greece.
Thank you. I hope that you will continue a discussion during the coffee break. If not, it's up to you. It's up to you. So, and Mr. Sheiko wants to add something, please.
Artifacts were mentioned in relation to the Chinese museum, and what I would like to say is that the strength of Westerplatte for telling the story and preserving the story for the future generations, the strength of Westerplatte lies in artifacts. We are now into the third stage of archaeological dig, and we have excavated more than 10,000 artifacts, and these artifacts can tell the story. In order for these artifacts to tell the story, we need exhibition spaces, we need a line of narrative to display these artifacts. And I've noticed that Marathon and is quite similar to Westerplatte, because Westerplatte and Marathon are in line of all these places that possibly have a few men opposing a predominant army of the enemy. Westerplatte is such a place. So what we need to do is, first of all, we need to take care of where to display these artifacts and where best to display the artifacts, if not at Westerplatte. So the question about reconstruction, conservation, and rebuilding is still valid, and it has to be answered, and best quite quickly, because the time is running out. If we achieve the goal that we are aiming as a museum, we can then present a full narrative to the tourists that come to Westerplatte. Sadly today, the narrative is virtually non-existent. The tourists leave Westerplatte with a feeling of something they have not experienced, and we want them to give the feeling of experiencing something and giving a meaning to the place. And this is why we think that a symbolic place like this, its story need to be told by these artifacts. So the truth is there, the truth is in the ground. We need to bring it out and have spaces or outdoor spaces, because Westerplatte is also an outdoor museum, to display what we have excavated.
Okay, all these museums are talking about battles, some of them lost at first phase, like in Pearl Harbor, other won, like in Marathon, lost like Westerplatte. But what is common for all these places or events from the past? That people wanted, were able to give, to risk their lives for values that were very important for them. Independence of their country and their right to decide about themselves by themselves. So it is common, and also this mission we are to transfer to the next generation, that it is necessary, it is something crucial to defend values we are attached to. So I'm closing this. If you want.
Yes, I would like to add something just to finish. It would be quite fitting. A few days ago, we spoke to a 93-year-old grandfather or grand-grandfather, and he remembers how when he was about 8 years old in 1939 or 7 years old, he remembers the broadcast on the Polish radio with the message Westerplatte still fights. And he said to us that this message was extremely important for the Poles, because he, as a young boy, remembers this message, and he says how it lifted my spirits when I heard this message on the radio day and day. So I think this is quite important in the sense of places like Marathon, Pearl Harbor, Westerplatte, or China, that it actually has a lot of meaning. All these places have a lot of meaning to common people, not only soldiers fighting and clashing and dying, but to the common people who are involved in this pandemonium of the Second World War.
So thank you very much for participation in this session. Now we have a break until 1 p.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you.